Richard Allen was born in Philadelphia on February 14, 1760, the slave of Benjamin Chew, a prominent lawyer and Chief Justice of the Commonwealth from 1774 to 1777. When he was a child, Richard, his parents and his 3 siblings were sold to Stokeley Sturgis, a Delaware planter whom Richard described as unconverted, but what the world called a good master. Despite his master's tenderhearted ness, Richard longed to be free, for slavery is a bitter pill, notwithstanding we had a good master. When Stokeley got into financial trouble, Richard's mother and 3 of his 5 siblings were sold. After his own religious conversion, Richard joined the Methodist Society, began attending classes, and evangelized his friends and neighbors. Richard and his brothers attended classes every week and meetings every other Thursday. When white neighbors complained that such indulgence of Stokeley's Negroes would soon ruin him, the brothers decided that they would attend more faithfully to our master's business, so that it should not be said that religion made us worse servants. Their strategy proved effective. Stokeley boasted that religion made slaves better and not worse, and granted Richard permission to ask the preachers to come and preach at his house. When the charismatic white preacher Freeborn Garretson preached that slave owners were weighed in the balance, and found wanting, Stokeley believed himself to be one of that number, and after that he could not be satisfied to hold slaves, believing it wrong. Richard took up his master's suggestion that he purchase his freedom. He set out to earn the money by working for the revolutionary forces, eventually taking the surname Allen to signify his free status. For the next 6 years, Allen traveled the Methodist circuit, throughout South Carolina, New York, Maryland, Delaware and Pennsylvania, preaching to black and white congregants alike. He worked as a sawyer and wagon driver when he needed to earn money. Allen walked so many miles that at times his feet became so sore and painful that I could scarcely be able to put them to the floor. While preaching in a town near Philadelphia, Allen was asked by the Methodist elder to preach to the black congregants at St. George's Methodist Church. Allen agreed, though he was required to preach at 5 a.m. so that his services would not interfere with the whites. He also preached on the commons in areas of the city where black families lived, often preaching as many as 4 or 5 times a day. In this way he raised a society of 42 members, while he supported himself as a shoemaker. As the group grew in number, Allen saw the necessity of erecting a place of worship for the colored people, an idea rejected by the most respectable people of color in the city, but embraced by 3 colored brethren, the Reverend Absalom Jones, William White and Doris Jennings, who united with me as soon as it became public and known. The white elder of the church, when this plan was explained to him, used very degrading and insulting language to us, to try and prevent us from going on. We all belonged to St. George's Church. We felt ourselves much cramped, but my dear Lord was with us, and we believed, if it was His will, the work would go on, and that we would be able to succeed in building the house of the Lord. Allen and Jones continued their discussions, and in 1787 decided to form the Free African Society, a non-denominational religious mutual aid society for the black community. Eventually this society grew into the African Church of Philadelphia. Allen continued his Methodist ministry, and 7 years later, in 1794, founded Bethel, which became the Mother Church of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the first independent black denomination. In 1793, Allen and Jones responded to Benjamin Rush's call to mobilize the black community to serve during Philadelphia's yellow fever epidemic. When reports circulated of blacks plundering and profiteering from the disease, the 2 ministers published a narrative of the proceedings of the black people during the late awful calamity in Philadelphia in the year 1793 and a refutation of some censures thrown upon them in some late publications, a defense of the black community and a documentation of their heroic efforts. Despite denominational differences, Allen and Jones remained lifelong friends and collaborators. Together with James Forten, they became the acknowledged leaders of the black community. The 3 men figured prominently on both sides of the ongoing colonization debate. With the support of his second wife, Sarah, whom he married in 1800, Richard Allen remained an ardent activist on behalf of the local and national black community. Allen died in 1831, widely revered as, in the words of abolitionist David Walker, one of the greatest divines who has lived since the apostolic age.